Hey Dad, part 2 of Stan Musial. I'll take my headphones off. We just went on a bike ride, so that's why I'm wearing headphones. I guess that's not logical, but I listen to music when I'm riding my bike. And also that way, since I'm riding with Sky, if she gets too far ahead because she's better than I am and faster, I can call her. Or she can call me. Because it's hard to hear the phone unless you have it right on your ear with the wind rushing past. Anyway, Dad, more Stan Musial from Joe Posnanski. So we just finished the story about his first trip to Forbes Field when he says to the guy that brought him, "John, I think I can hit big league pitching." And now we resume. Have you ever noticed how close Musial is to musical? Let me step out of the background for just a moment here. We are down to the final 10 in the Baseball 100. Remember, Stan Musial is number 9. This project has been one of the hardest and most joyous things I've ever done as a writer. We passed the 250,000 word mark not long ago, and the whole thing feels like a blur. I sometimes go on talk shows to talk about this series, and hosts will ask me to retell a story. I wrote about Frank Robinson or Christy Mathewson or Ken Griffey, and I'll say, can you remind me what I said? I barely remember yesterday. The whole point of this series, a point that has taken on a more sober meaning in recent days and weeks, so he's writing this during the early stages of the pandemic in the United States. The whole point of this series, a point that has taken on a more sober meaning in recent days and weeks, has been to tell the powerful story of baseball's place in America through some of the greatest players in the game's history. Yes, there are rankings that go along with them, and it's fun to fight about those. Yes, there are some players who might have been included and others who might have been excluded. But if this was all that was about, I could have just put my Baseball 100 list up and let everybody play piranha and attack. The point, the challenge, the thing that has had me writing 14 hours a day every single day for months is that I believe each of these players, whether scoundrels like Rogers Hornsby or nice guys like Tony Gwynn, pioneers like Jackie Robinson or rage monsters like Roger Clemens, is part of baseball's rich and tangled and altogether wonderful mosaic. I have tried hard to give each player new life. I have tried to avoid the stories you've heard again and again. I have tried to dig deeper into what makes each player unique. All of which brings us to Stan Musial. Many years ago, I wrote a long blog post about Musial, which has since been reprinted. At the time, if memory serves, I was thinking about writing a Musial book. And when that fell through, I decided to unload some of my happy feelings about him online. The post went viral, so much so that Cardinals manager Tony La Russa passed out copies of it to his team during spring training, where they discussed it. A few years later, I wrote a cover story about Musial for Sports Illustrated's Where Are They Now special edition. I was told at one point that it sold more copies in newsstands than any other in the magazine's history, which tells you the power of Musial's presence. When Musial died in January of 2013, I wrote a long obituary. And now here we are at number 9 in the Baseball 100, finally reaching one of my all-time favorite ball players, the great Stan Musial. And what is left to say about him? Did you know that Stan Musial was never thrown out of a game? You probably did. I and countless others have written about that at great length. In my first Musial story, I specifically wrote about a game in 1954 when he ripped a double down the right field line against the Cubs to break the game open. The first base umpire, Lee Balenfant, called it foul. The ball, by all witness accounts, Balenfant excluded, was clearly fair, though. The Cardinals on the bench went crazy. Shortstop Solly Hamas charged the field first and got himself tossed. He was quickly followed by manager Eddie Stanky, who got himself tossed. Then came pinch hitter Peanuts Lowry, and home plate umpire Augie Donatelli was about to throw him out too when a slightly dazed Musial walked up. "What happened?" Augie asked. "Didn't count, huh?" "Lee called it foul," Donatelli said, perhaps with regret in his voice. "Well, there's nothing you can do about that," Musial said. And he stepped back in the box and promptly rifled another double to almost exactly the same spot. Did you know that only Tris Speaker, playing in a very different time, stretched out more combined doubles and triples than Musial? 725 doubles, 177 triples, 902 total. You probably could have guessed. Nobody in baseball history broke out of the box harder than Musial. Did you know that Musial had exactly the same number of hits at home as he did on the road? 1,815. Again, you probably did. It's one of the more famous bits of statistical trivia, and it speaks to the superhuman consistency of the man. I wonder if he did that on purpose, Albert Pujols once said, knowing full well that he probably did. Musial won 3 MVP awards and finished second 4 other times. He won 7 batting titles and led the league in runs 5 times, hits 6 times, doubles 8 times, triples 5 times, RBIs twice, total bases 6 times, and OPS, that's on base percentage, plus slugging, again, 7 times. You all knew all that, or could easily look it up. You knew already that he was a great guy. Harry Carey famously told a story about an obscenely hot St. Louis Sunday. The Cardinals played a doubleheader, and Musial played both games. Afterward, he was dead tired. He slumped over as he walked out of the park. He was barely even moving, and Carey watched him and wondered if he might just fall over. Then Musial got to his car, where 50 or 100 kids waited anxiously. "Watch this," Carey said to the person walking with him. And just then, Musial rose as if he'd been inflated with air, and he shouted out, "What do you say? What do you say?" And he signed every last autograph. You've already heard the great quotes about how impossible he was to get out. "I could have rolled the ball up there against Musial, and he would have pulled out a golf club and hit it out," Don Newcombe said. "I had success with Musial by throwing him my best pitch and backing up third," Carl Erskine said. "There's only one way to pitch Musial," Leo DeRocher said, "under the plate." "Stan comes up to the plate and asks me how my family's making out," Joe Garagiola said. "Before I can answer him, he's on third." One year at the All-Star Game, American League pitchers and catchers gathered with coaches and talked about strategies for pitching to each hitter in the National League. They spent an especially long time talking about Musial until Yogi Berra said disgustedly, "You guys are trying to stop Musial in 15 minutes when the National League ain't stopped him in 15 years. The batting stance. How many times have people talked and written about his gloriously peekaboo batting stance? The one Hall of Fame pitcher Ted Lyons always said, "Look like a small boy looking around a corner to see if the cops are coming." That stance would trick you, though. It looked so awkward and funny, but it only looked that way before the pitch was thrown. Afterward, Musial's body unfolded into a perfect hitting machine. "Now the ball's been pitched," Branch Rickey said, and Stanley takes his true position. He is no longer in a crouch, and his bat is full back and so steady a coin wouldn't fall off the end of it. Then the proper stride and level swing. There is no hitch. He is ideal in form. The harmonica. How many times have people talked about Stan Musial playing that harmonica? He carried that thing with him everywhere and didn't need a second request to pull it out and start playing. He only knew 4 songs as far as anybody knows. Wabash Cannonball, Take Me Out to the Ball Game, the National Anthem, and Happy Birthday. But those 4 songs were all he needed. They got him through every occasion, including the countless times that people would come over to Musial's table in a restaurant, apologize profusely, and say that they were celebrating their mother's birthday, their father's birthday, their mother-in-law's birthday, their son's birthday, and would Musial mind just stepping over and saying hello? He didn't mind. Sometimes his wife Lil would mind, but he would say, "These are my fans," and he would go over and the birthday person would be red with excitement, and then Musial would pull out the harmonica and play Happy Birthday. The kindness. You know all about the kindness. It was always there with Musial. "Nicest man I ever met in baseball," Bob Gibson said. He was there to offer advice, tell a joke, fold a dollar bill into the shape of a ring that he would then slip onto a fan's finger. The Dodgers' wonderful pitcher Joe Black, one of the first African-American pitchers in the National League, said that the first time he pitched against the Cardinals, he heard racist taunts. After the game, he was sitting by his locker when he felt a hand on his shoulder. He looked up, and it was Musial. "I'm sorry that happened," Musial said, "but don't you worry about it. You're a great pitcher. You will win a lot of games." I'll stop there, Dad. So I, not being a Cardinals fan and having heard more obviously about Yankees and Giants and Dodgers, given your family's New York origins and the summers I would spend with Donnie, I don't know as much about Musial as other players of his stature, but it's a very inspiring tale, I think. And it's a nice counterpoint to people like Ty Cobb or Roger Clemens, who, even if they had reasons for being full of rage, were not exactly pleasant to deal with in the vast majority of occasions. All right, Dad, well, I love you very much. Take care. Hope you're enjoying Hitchcock and these. We'll talk to you tonight.